Before you decide that short sleeves no longer work for your arms, look closely at these two blouses. The woman has the same body, the same shoulders, and the same arms, but one sleeve creates a tight horizontal line at the fullest part of her upper arm, while the other falls softly, moves comfortably, and makes the entire outfit feel lighter. The difference is not her arm. It is the shape, position, and movement of the sleeve. Perhaps you have tried on a beautiful blouse, only to notice that the sleeve suddenly made your upper arm feel more noticeable than it did before. You may have pulled the fabric downward, pressed your arms against your body, or chosen a larger size, hoping the sleeve would feel easier. But then, the shoulders became too wide, the neckline shifted, and the rest of the blouse lost its shape. This is why simply buying a larger size does not always solve a sleeve problem. Very often, the sleeve itself has been cut for a different arm shape or proportion. In this video, we will examine 6 sleeve shapes that can create better balance for naturally fuller arms after 55. We will look at structured short sleeves, soft flutter sleeves, elbow-length sleeves, 3/4 sleeves, Raglan sleeves, and relaxed dolman shapes. You will also see 3 common sleeve details that can make an outfit feel heavier, tighter, or less comfortable than expected. This is not a list of clothes you are forbidden to wear. It is a visual guide that will help you understand why one sleeve feels light and modern, while another sleeve seems to work against your proportions. Before looking at individual sleeve styles, there are 4 details worth understanding. First, notice where the sleeve ends. A hem creates a line, and the eye often pauses wherever that line is placed. Second, notice the direction of the fabric. Does it fall gently downward, or does it project outward and create additional width? Third, check the opening. It should allow movement without squeezing, gaping, or cutting into the arm. And fourth, look at the shoulder seam. When the shoulder and sleeve are correctly positioned, the garment usually feels more intentional, and the arm can move more naturally. The name of the sleeve matters less than how these 4 details work together.
One of the most common sleeve problems is a hem that ends at the fullest part of the upper arm. The edge creates a horizontal marker at the exact point you may prefer not to emphasize. When that opening is also tight or finished with a contrasting band, the line becomes even more noticeable. This does not mean the sleeve must always be long. Sometimes moving the hem only 1 or 2 inches above or below the widest point creates a completely different effect. The useful question is not, are my arms too full for this blouse? It is this sleeve ending in the most helpful position? The second issue is a sleeve opening that grips or compresses the arm. A tight band can create an indentation, restrict movement, and cause the fabric above it to gather. Even when the blouse technically fits through the shoulders and bust, the sleeve may still be too narrow for your arm. Look for enough ease to slide 1 or 2 fingers comfortably beneath the opening without stretching the fabric. Raise your arm, reach forward, and bend your elbow. If the sleeve moves with you instead of holding the arm in place, the fit is likely to feel much easier throughout the day. The first useful shape is a clean, structured short sleeve. This is not the same as a tiny cap sleeve or a tight band placed high on the arm. A better structured sleeve begins at a correctly positioned shoulder seam, falls gently away from the upper arm, and includes enough room at the opening. The fabric may have a small amount of body, but it should not project sideways like a shelf. Look for a sleeve that ends slightly above or below the fullest point, depending on your individual proportions.
When the shoulder, opening, and hem are balanced, a short sleeve can look crisp, modern, and surprisingly youthful without attempting to hide the arm. To test this sleeve in the fitting room, begin by checking the shoulder seam. It should sit close to the natural edge of your shoulder, rather than falling too far down the arm or pulling inward toward the neck. Next, look at the sleeve from the side. There should be a small amount of space between the fabric and the arm, but not enough to create a wide triangular shape. Finally, reach forward as though you were driving, lifting a cup, or placing something on a shelf. A useful sleeve must work during ordinary movement, not only while you stand still in front of the mirror. The second useful option is a soft flutter sleeve. A well-designed flutter sleeve creates gentle movement around the upper arm without gripping the skin. The most helpful versions fall downward and slightly away from the body. They should not be excessively gathered, extremely short, or stiff enough to project sideways. A lightweight matte fabric allows the sleeve to move while keeping the overall silhouette calm. This shape can be especially useful for summer blouses and dresses because it offers soft coverage without creating the heat or heaviness of a close-fitting sleeve. The result can feel feminine, modern, and light rather than overly decorative. A flutter sleeve works best when the rest of the blouse or dress remains relatively clean. If the neckline, print, sleeve, and accessories are all highly detailed, the outfit may begin to feel busy. Allow the sleeve to be the soft feature. Then keep the neckline simple, the print controlled, and the accessories close to the face. Women with broader shoulders may prefer a flutter sleeve that falls more vertically and begins without heavy gathering. Women with narrower shoulders may enjoy a little more movement near the top. The goal is balance, not following one rule for every body. So far, we have learned that the most helpful sleeve does not need to hide the arm. It needs to end in a thoughtful position, allow comfortable movement, and direct the fabric in a balanced way. A structured short sleeve can create a clean, modern frame. A soft flutter sleeve can add movement without squeezing. But the next sleeve shape solves a different problem. It provides more coverage while avoiding the heavy, boxy effect that many longer sleeves can create. That is where the elbow-length sleeve becomes especially useful. The third useful option is the elbow-length sleeve. This sleeve usually ends near the elbow, rather than stopping at the fullest part of the upper arm. That small change in position can make the sleeve feel calmer and more intentional. It provides additional coverage, but still leaves the forearm visible, which keeps the outfit from feeling completely closed or heavy. The exposed forearm also adds natural movement when you reach, gesture, or carry something. A good elbow-length sleeve should fall smoothly, allow the elbow to bend comfortably, and avoid creating a tight band around the arm. For many women, this is one of the easiest sleeve lengths to wear in both casual and polished outfits. The length alone does not guarantee a flattering result. An elbow-length sleeve can still feel heavy when it is extremely wide, stiff, or gathered with too much volume. It can also become uncomfortable when the opening ends in a tight cuff directly above the elbow. Look for a sleeve that follows the general direction of the arm, with enough room to bend, but not so much fabric that it creates a large box around the upper body. A soft vertical fall is usually easier to balance than a sleeve that projects outward. When you bend your elbow, the fabric should move with the joint instead of pulling across the shoulder or upper arm. The fourth useful shape is the 3/4 sleeve. This sleeve usually ends somewhere between the elbow and the wrist, leaving the narrowest part of the forearm visible. That exposed area can bring lightness to a blouse, jacket or dress that might otherwise feel completely covered. The sleeve also creates a longer visual direction from the shoulder toward the hand. This can be especially useful when you prefer more upper arm coverage, but still want the outfit to feel modern and open. A clean 3/4 sleeve works well with bracelets, watches, and natural hand movement. It offers coverage, but it does not need to look conservative or old-fashioned. The exact ending point of a 3/4 sleeve can vary from one garment to another. Some stop just below the elbow, others fall closer to the wrist. The most useful position is usually one that reveals a naturally narrower part of your forearm without interfering with movement. Be careful with sleeves that end at the widest part of the lower arm, especially when the cuff is tight or contrasting. Try rolling or pushing the sleeve slightly higher and compare the difference in the mirror. A change of only 1 or 2 inches can make the entire upper body feel lighter. The fifth useful construction is the Raglan sleeve. Unlike a traditional sleeve, which begins at a seam on the edge of the shoulder, a Raglan sleeve extends diagonally from the neckline toward the underarm. That diagonal seam can soften the transition between the shoulder, upper arm, and torso. It can also provide more room for movement, especially when the shoulder area of standard blouses feels restrictive. A well-cut Raglan sleeve often works beautifully in casual knit tops, soft blouses, and lightweight jackets. The key is to choose a version that follows the body gently, rather than creating excessive fabric beneath the arm. Not every Raglan sleeve creates the same effect. When the fabric is very thick, the underarm area may become bulky. When the sleeve and body use strongly contrasting colors, the diagonal seam can become the main focus of the outfit. This may be useful in sporty clothing, but it may feel too casual for a polished, mature wardrobe. For a calmer appearance, choose similar colors through the sleeve and body. A soft fabric, and controlled ease beneath the arm. The construction should improve movement without making the upper torso appear larger. The sixth useful shape is the relaxed dolman sleeve. A dolman sleeve is cut as part of the body of the garment, with a wider opening beneath the arm and a narrower shape toward the lower sleeve. Because there is no tight traditional armhole, this construction can feel comfortable for women who dislike fabric pressing into the upper arm. A softly draped dolman blouse can create one continuous line from the neckline through the shoulder and sleeve. This shape works best when the fabric is light enough to fall rather than stiff enough to stand away. The result can feel relaxed, modern, and elegant, especially when the lower half of the outfit remains clean and simple. The relaxed shape of a dolman sleeve can also become overwhelming when there is too much fabric. A very low underarm, stiff material, or excessive width through the torso may cause the blouse to resemble one large square. This can hide the natural shape of the body rather than simply providing ease. Look for controlled volume, a neckline that opens the upper body, and a hem that does not end at the widest part of the midsection. A slight taper toward the forearm and a soft vertical fall through the torso help the dolman shape remain polished. Relaxed does not need to mean oversized. So, how do you choose among these 4 sleeve shapes? Choose an elbow-length sleeve when you want reliable upper arm coverage while keeping the forearm visible. Choose a 3/4 sleeve when you want a longer vertical line and emphasis near the wrist. Try a Raglan sleeve when standard shoulder seams feel restrictive or difficult to fit. And consider a relaxed dolman sleeve when comfort around the armhole is your highest priority. The best choice depends less on your age and more on your movement, your proportions, and the way you want the complete outfit to feel. We have now seen 6 sleeve shapes that can work with fuller arms. without treating the arms as something to hide. But sleeve shape is only part of the decision. A beautiful sleeve can still work against the outfit when the print, cuff, shoulder seam, or blouse length creates the wrong visual balance. Next, we will examine 3 sleeve details to avoid, then combine the best shapes into complete outfits for real everyday life. The first sleeve detail to watch is a tight or strongly contrasting cuff. A cuff creates a horizontal line, and that line becomes especially noticeable when it sits at the fullest part of the upper arm. Dark fabric with a bright cuff, a thick elastic band, or a narrow opening that presses into the skin can make the sleeve appear smaller and the arm appear more visually separated from the blouse. This does not mean contrast is always wrong. The effect is usually calmer when the opening has enough ease, the cuff is relatively narrow, and the sleeve ends at a more thoughtful position. Whenever possible, compare a strong contrasting band with a clean opening in the same color as the garment. The second detail is volume that projects sideways from the arm. A sleeve may technically be loose, but still create a wider upper body when the fabric is stiff, heavily gathered, or shaped like a horizontal shelf. This is common in very short puff sleeves, rigid flutter sleeves, and cap sleeves that point away from the shoulder. The problem is not the decorative idea itself, it is the direction of the volume. Fabric that falls downward usually creates a softer transition than fabric that stands outward. When trying a statement sleeve, look at yourself from the front and the side. Notice whether the sleeve adds gentle movement or builds a rigid shape around the shoulders and arms. The third detail is a shoulder seam that sits in the wrong place for the design. A deliberately relaxed shoulder can look modern when the entire garment has been designed around that proportion. But an ordinary blouse in a size that is too large may cause the shoulder seam to fall too far down the arm. The neckline may shift, the sleeve may begin at the widest part of the upper arm, and the torso may lose its intended shape. At the opposite extreme, a seam that pulls inward toward the neck can restrict movement and create tension across the shoulder. Look for a shoulder line that appears intentional, balanced, and comfortable with the structure of the whole garment. Before buying a blouse, give the sleeve a simple real-life test. First, let your arms rest naturally and check whether the opening presses into the skin. Second, reach forward as though you were driving or working at a table. Third, raise one arm as though placing something on a shelf. And finally, bend the elbow while holding a handbag or cup. Watch for pulling at the shoulder, fabric twisting beneath the arm, a cuff becoming tight, or the entire blouse lifting upward. A sleeve should support ordinary movement, not require you to stand perfectly still for the garment to look correct. Let us bring the 6 sleeve shapes into complete everyday outfits. The first formula is a clean, structured short sleeve blouse, straight leg trousers, and a softly open neckline. This creates a polished outfit for lunch, errands, or casual work settings without relying on excessive coverage. The second formula is a soft flutter sleeve midi dress with simple sandals and one small accessory near the face. Keep the dress fabric matte and the rest of the outfit relatively simple, so the movement of the sleeve remains the gentle focal point. The third formula is an elbow-length blouse with straight jeans or relaxed trousers. This is one of the easiest combinations for women who want reliable upper arm coverage without losing the movement of the forearm. The fourth formula is a 3/4 sleeve knit with a softly structured midi skirt or clean wide leg trousers.
allow the sleeve to end at a narrower part of the forearm. Then add a watch or one simple bracelet to continue the visual direction toward the hand. Both formulas can feel current, comfortable, and polished without becoming overly formal.
The fifth formula uses a softly constructed Raglan blouse with tailored trousers. This is especially useful when standard shoulder seams often feel restrictive or difficult to position. Choose similar colors through the sleeve and torso to keep the diagonal construction subtle and refined. The sixth formula is a controlled dolman blouse with slim straight or narrow wide leg trousers. Because the upper garment already has relaxed volume, the lower half should remain relatively clean. The result is ease without shapelessness and comfort without looking oversized.
The seventh formula is not based on one specific sleeve. It begins with the activity. For travel or shopping, choose a 3/4 or raglan sleeve that allows easy reaching and carrying. For a warm social event, choose a structured short sleeve or soft flutter sleeve that provides movement without extra heat. For a cooler evening, an elbow-length or controlled dolman sleeve can offer comfort without closing the outfit completely. Choose the sleeve for the way you intend to move, the temperature, and the proportions of the entire outfit. A useful wardrobe is not built around one perfect sleeve. It is built around several reliable shapes that support different parts of your life.
The next time you try on a blouse or dress, remember that fuller arms do not require one fixed sleeve length. A structured short sleeve can create a clean, modern frame. A soft flutter sleeve can provide movement without squeezing. An elbow-length sleeve can offer coverage while keeping the forearm visible. A 3/4 sleeve can draw attention toward the wrist and hand. A raglan sleeve can provide easier shoulder movement, and a controlled dolman sleeve can remove pressure from the traditional armhole. Whatever the sleeve name, check where it ends, which direction the fabric moves, how the opening feels, and whether the shoulder construction supports natural movement. Your arms are not the fitting problem. The garment simply needs to be designed for the proportions and movement of the body wearing it.
Which of these 6 sleeve shapes feels most comfortable and reliable for you? Share your answer in the comments, along with any sleeve detail you now plan to check more carefully. And if you appreciate realistic style guidance for women over 55, subscribe to Mature Women's Style. Thank you for spending this time with me. Your body does not need to fit every garment. The right garment should be ready to fit and support you.